안녕하세요 여러분, 주니쌤입니다. 오늘은 와과 이랑 하고를 배울 거예요. 그럼 먼저 we'll look at what it really is about. And in Korean, what is and about? So and in Korean, it can be kind of tricky, but and that is because there is multiple ways to say it. There's like 5 in total. In this lesson, we're kind of just gonna look at like 3 or 4 because we also learned last time. Was it last time? But not last lesson, but we did a conjunctions lesson. So we learned kurigo, which also means and. But the main differences between these ands are when they're used. We'll get into that later. So in previous lesson, we learned about kurigo. So this is what we're going to use between 2 sentences. So one sentence, stop, kurigo, second sentence. Now this version of and, you might just see it used between 2 nouns. But for the sake of learning what we're going to learn today, I'm going to say we're not going to use that as much. Although you might see it or you may hear it used between 2 nouns. That's not what I want you guys to do. It's not that common. So here's an example of kurigo. 제가 한국 드라마를 좋아해요. 그리고 한국 음식을 좋아해요. I like Korean dramas, period. And I like Korean food, period. So that is just a conjunction, right? That's just a vocab word. And conjunction means it's combining 2 sentences, right? And what we're learning today are more particles. That's right. So the very same as all the ones we learned before, 은, 이가, and 울, 룰, but they're a bit different. Those 3 are kind of the foundational particles, we'll call them, because we use them all the time. And 하고, which is our main lesson today, is kind of, 하고 is more free-flowing depending on the sentence, right? Because it's only meaning and, but it also can mean with. So particles like this one, 하고, all of the ones today, those are going to be attached right next to a noun. Just like how all the other particles, 저 is our noun, right? And they put 는 right next to it. Or 우유, milk, and they put some particle. 우유를, 우유가, 우유는, 의사, a doctor, 의사가, just some examples of when we put particle right next to our noun. Make sure it's a noun. If it's a person, like 의사, if it's a place, like 도서관, forgot to put that in there. That is also a particle. And eso. If it's a place, like 도서관. If it's a thing, like 우유, make sure it's a noun. And then what can be tricky also about and in Korean is that you can also use that same word or same particle to say with. I do something with someone else. We're going to get into that though. So 하고 can be attached to words whether they end in a vowel or a consonant. So any ending, we don't have to worry about that. And it's often used to list things. Like you want to make a list of a bunch of different things. I want to buy this and that and that. In that case, you want to use 하고. And you can also just use this to connect 2 nouns if you want. Although 하고 shouldn't be used in very formal settings, this one is considered the most common way to say and it's also casual, very casual. So here are some examples I'll read through. 우유하고 팡, bread, 팡하고 계란, eggs 있어. 우유하고 팡하고 계란이 있어. Or 우유빵하고 계란이 있어. I have milk, bread, and eggs. So this is an example of a list. And I'll be honest, I think this might be the only example. There's not very many in this lesson, but I have 2 different variations of the same thing. One is an example where you put 하고 between each thing that you're talking about. 우유 and 팡 and 계란, right? So and is 2 times. And this one, like in English, where we only would put 1 and, like I have here, milk, bread, and egg. Same thing here. 우유, 팡하고 계란. So you can put it in between each word, or you can only do it like right before the last word, like in English. Here's another example. 한국어하고 영어 공부해요. 한국어하고 영어, Korean and English 공부해요. I study. 엄마하고 아빠가 보고 싶어요. 엄마하고 아빠가 보고 싶어요. Now this is a grammar we haven't seen yet, but if you want to say want to do something, all you have to do is add this go 싶어요, right, to some verb ending. So here we have to see. 보다. Literally, 보고 싶어요 is I want to see. But in Korean, this is also a way to say you miss someone. I want to see someone or I miss someone. So if I want to eat, 먹고 싶어요. If I want to drink something, 마시고 싶어요. If I want to study something, 공부하고 싶어요. Just like that. Here's another one. 책상 위에 연필하고 책이 있어요. 책상, desk, 위 means on top. 책상 위에 연필하고 책 있어요. Okay, so here, this is a preposition, which in English would be like on top. We'll say that on top. In English, on top of is a preposition, prepositional phrase. In Korean, technically, it's called a postpositional. Post because it's after the word it's talking about. In English, it's before, right? On top of desk. In Korean, it's after desk, on top of. So keep that in mind. 연필, pencil, 책, book. 연필하고 책, pencil and book. So the next section is talking about with. Like I said, you can also use 하고 right next to a pronoun like I, you, she, he, or just a person or a person's name to say with. For example, Diana, Diana하고 친구하고 with Diana, with friend. Or with my friends. So when it comes to this, and I forgot to mention this earlier, but we can only have one particle on a word at a time, right? So I'm not gonna have like Diana는 하고 and can't do that. We can only have one particle on at a time for these. So if we have 하고, we can't do 은는, 을을, or 이가 on that word. So some examples. 친구하고 영화관에 갔어요. 친구하고 영화관에 갔어요. 영화관 is a cinema or a movie theater. So with my friend, 영화관, movie theater, to 갔어요, went. I went to the cinema or movie theater with my friend or with a friend. So in this sentence, it was left out, but we can see I went. So we know that I, 저, and the subject, or sorry, the topic of the sentence. 저는 친구하고 영화관에 갔어요. Another example. 친구하고 영화 봤어요. Once again, I am the topic. 친구하고 with a friend. 영화, movie, and then 봤어요, watched. I watched a movie with a friend. There's a particle missing here. I'll give you a few seconds to think about what it should be there. Because what? An object in the sentence is what, right? The what of the sentence. So what are we watching? Or what did we watch? We watched 영화. That makes this our object. 영화를 봤어요. Okay? Oh, here's a good point here. I watched a movie with a friend. It doesn't make sense to say I watched to watch a friend and a movie, as you can see here, because we know and 하고 also means and. 친구하고 영화, friend and movie watched. That's not what we're saying here. So you can tell when is it going to be with, when is it going to be and. You can tell kind of by the context like this, because it wouldn't make sense to watch your friend and watch the movie, you know. All right, let's move to the next. 동생, this is younger sibling. 동생하고 공부할 거예요. 동생하고 공부할 거예요. So with a sibling, so younger brother or younger sister, 공부할 거예요, I will study. Sometimes that future tense ending is translated as going to do something instead of just I will. So like in English, we'll say I'm going to watch a movie. I'm going to go to sleep. I'm going to eat dinner. That still is a future tense. So here's another situation where we have a blank particle. What do you think we should add here? Just say it to yourself. So we know 하다, right? 하다 just on its own. That means to do something. 할 거예요. I will do something. I'm going to do something. And then 공부 should be 공부를 할 거. Because what is this person going to do? They're going to study. 공부. They're going to study. So that is our object. Tomorrow I will go to Gyeongbok Palace, Gyeongbokgung with my teacher. 내일 선생님하고 경복궁에 갈 거예요. 내일 선생님하고 경복궁에 갈 거예요. Now here's another thing we can bring up, the sentence structure. When we have a word with 하고, like how does the sentence structure change? So in this sentence, it actually doesn't follow our typical sentence structure, right? Because it has that. 내일 선생님하고 경복궁에 갈 거예요. So if this was our regular sentence structure, we actually would put 내일 after this, because imagine that's not there. And then in English, it would be, I will go to Gyeongbok Palace tomorrow with my teacher. But this one, it starts with tomorrow. So we did the same in Korean. Now, why is it like this? That's because when you have things like this, a pronoun or a person with a particle attached, if that particle, even if it's not 는 or something like that, we still want it to go towards the front by the topic, by the subjects of the sentence. So whether it's 저는, 제가, 당신은, 너는, 그녀는, 그녀가, whoever is the topic, we want all the people of the sentence to be at the front. Let's just think of it like that. But in this case, we're going to keep it like this. 내일 선생님하고 Okay, next one. Last one actually. 오늘은 휴일이에요. 오늘은 휴일, holiday, 휴일이에요. 그래서 친구하고 놀 거예요. 친구하고, with my friend, 놀다 usually means to play, right? 놀다. In this case, the word to play can also mean to hang out with someone. So actually, Korean people can get in a little bit of trouble when they're learning English, because they might say, do you want to play with me? Or I'm gonna go play with my friends. Can sound a bit childish or weird, right? They just mean hang out. But just a fun thing to throw in. Okay, and then in the actual doc, I don't know if I'm posting this on YouTube for everybody to see or just my course students. So if you are in the doc, in the course, and you see the practice section, I did leave that for you guys. There's 5 sentences where you can fill in the blanks or translate it, or both at the same time. And then there's 5 to just translate into Korean from English. So I think I won't go over every one of these in the video, but most of them. So maybe I'll go over 3 of these and 3 of the other ones. So we literally just did this. 하고, I will go to, we know that one. I will go to Gyeongbokgung Palace with my teacher. Next one. 우유, 빵을 샀어요. 우유, 빵을 샀어요. 사다 means to buy. 우유 is milk. 빵 is bread. So this is 우유하고 빵. And that means milk and bread. And then I bought. Or whoever bought. It doesn't specify a topic. We could say she bought. Or Mina. Or Jimin. Or Jin. Someone bought milk and bread. And our last one. 가족 삼겹살 불고기를 많이 먹었어요. 가족. That's family. 삼겹살 is a type of Korean dish. So is bulgogi, if you didn't know. I won't explain what those are, but if you're curious, you can go check them out. They're both delicious. So, 가족. This is easy though. There's only one word it could be, right? 하고. 가족하고 삼겹살. 하고. So what does it mean? 가족하고 삼겹살. So is it going to be family and 삼겹살? I don't think so. So it's with my family and then separately these two. 삼겹살하고 불고기. So 삼겹살 and 불고기. 많이, a lot. 먹었어요. I ate. Translation. So let's do these. I don't eat meat, gogi, and fish. Sing song. So this sentence, in my opinion, actually sounds a bit awkward in English, right? We would probably say, I don't eat meat or fish. But we're not going to learn or today, so just for the sake of the lesson, you know? 저는 고기하고 생선. There's actually 2 words for fish in Korean. One means fresh fish that is like caught for the purpose of eating, and one means just like fish in fish in the water, right? 물, 고기 is actually a combination. I don't know, I'm going off topic, of water, 물, plus gogi, meat. So water meat. 물고기, water meat means fish. Kind of funny, huh? Anyways, off topic. And then this sentence on top of 하고 being added is negative. So don't eat. I put 안 먹어요 for the short version. Long version, 먹지 않아요. Next one. I hate dogs and cats. It hurt me just to put this in here. Trust me, I don't hate them. I love both. But, you know, I could have said I like both, but it's good to learn how to say I hate. I think 저는, so dog. 개 could be 개 하고, or 강아지 하고, 고양이, and then a verb. 싫어하다. So, and this is present tense, I hate, so that becomes 해요, not 하아요, but 해요, a completely different transformation of that word. Okay, there's one particle missing here, so what do you think? Just say it to yourself. Which particle do we add here after 고양이? Because what do I hate? What do I hate? I hate dogs and cats, so that they are the object of my hatred in that way, which I hate saying. I love them both. I went to the grocery store, 가게, with Jasmine. So remember before I was saying we need to add all the people stuff, quote unquote people stuff. Everything about concerning people needs to go towards the front of the sentence, right? Before we add the time and the place and all of that. So I am the topic once again, and then with Jasmine, Jasmine 하고, and then we would go ahead and we'll look who, when, where, what, how, verb, So when doesn't specify. Where, 가게. We know we need our particle. We're just going to, or we just went to the grocery store, so we don't need so because we're not doing anything special. And then what did we do? We didn't do anything to an object, or start over. And then the what of the sentence. It looks like there is no object or no what in the sentence, so we can skip that. How did we do something? We also don't have that, so we can skip it. And then our last thing is just the verb, went. So that is actually from 가다, right? 가다. Do quick past tense, right? 가다. Take off the da, and we need at, that ending. At. We're not gonna have kaat, two A's right next to each other. That would sound weird. So we're just gonna compress them. 갔어요. And then we want to bring the sound over when we have a vowel next to it. If there's just like that, 갔다, the sound has a hard stop there. Think of that da right there. That's like a brick wall. The sound can't pass through. So once we have a vowel next to it, the sound can pass through from those double S's. 갔어요. Okay, final stretch. We have two other particles to talk about. Now, I don't want to confuse you guys. I just want to tell you about them. You don't have to try and use them or anything like that, not yet, because you're probably gonna learn about them in another time, in your own time. So the other two particles that we have to say and are 이랑. This one is used more in speaking, and it's also very casual, like a little bit more casual than 하고, even 이랑. I use this one. I like to use this one a lot when I'm speaking in Korean. And then we have 와 and 과. And these are very formal, and it's used a lot more in writing or like formal speech. So maybe in work situations, maybe. Because sometimes even if the textbook or a teacher might say, this is used only in speaking, or this is used only in writing, Korean people still might flip the script because, they often break the rules, like every native speaker of their language breaks the rules, right? But anyways, so like news, articles, things like that. That's where you would see 와 and 과 being used instead of something like 이랑 or 하고. 와 and 과, let's start with these because they're kind of, even to me, they seem kind of complicated just because they're kind of weird, right? So 과 is attached to consonants and 와 is attached to vowels. Very interesting. So here we go. A few examples. 저는 사과와 오렌지를 샀습니다. 저는 사과와 오렌지를 샀습니다. I made sure to put everything in this as more formal. I bought apples and oranges. 소금과 설탕. 소금, salt. 설탕, sugar. 소금과 설탕 좀 주세요. 주세요 means please give, right? And then 좀, a little bit. Or in this sentence, some. 좀 주세요. Please give me. So if you go to Korea and you need to be saying, please give me this, please give me that, but you don't know how to say much, you can use 주세요 a lot. You know the word this and you know the word that. You can just point at something and say 이거 주세요, or that 그거 주세요. Next one, these two are together, but it shouldn't. Just remember that. 우리는 밥, rice, 과, 팡, bread. Notice the difference in the pronunciation. 밥 and 팡. 밥, 팡. That 팡, that double B, sounds like an aspirated P, kind of like a hard P. Aspirated, I don't know if that's the right word, but it means there's a lot more air put behind it. You can hear when I say 팡. So when it comes to double consonants like that, it means you got to put some more air behind it. 밥, or 팡. And then 팝니다. 팔다 is where that comes from, and that means to sell. 팔다, and remember how it changes for formal conjugation. We have to remove the L and the da. 팡을 팝니다. So, and then these are also meaning with, right? 저는 친구와 갔습니다. I went with my friend. 저는 사과와 바나나를 샀습니다. I bought apples and bananas. Okay, 랑 and 이랑. So, like I said before, used in speech for the main part and more casual than 하고. So, 이랑 is attached to words ending in a consonant or nouns ending in a consonant, and 랑, nouns ending in a vowel. So, technically, if I want to, I can replace any sentence in this lesson so far. You could replace with 이랑 or 랑, or even 와 and 과. You could replace it, and it's fine because they're all really interchangeable besides when they're used. How one is more formal and how one is more casual. Besides that, they all mean the same thing, right? So you could replace any one of these sentences that has and in it, you can replace it with the other. And I have a bunch of examples like that. At the end of the doc, I won't show it in the video, but at the very end of the doc, if you need examples of that, I have like the same sentence with different versions of different and. 나는 인천이랑 서울에 갈 거야. This is a good one because it has a different particle at the end. 인천, 서울, 인천, or it could be 인천하고 서울에, 인천이랑 서울에. It could even be 인천과, in for the consonant, right? 인천과 서울에. They all mean the same. So I will go to Seoul and Incheon. See how we make sure to keep our 에 particle because those are the locations. 저는 책이랑 연필. I bought a book and a pencil. 아버지랑 공원에 갈 거야. 아버지랑 공원에 갈 거야. So some of these sentences are informal, which we haven't seen a lot of. So I thought it would be a good idea to include some, just so you can see it. And when it comes to a informal sentence, we want to use the informal version of 저, which is 나. 나 also means I or me. 나는 아버지랑 공원에 갈 거야. If you want to get even more down to the details, 아버지 is more like father. So like it's a more formal version because like in English, saying father, that feels formal rather than saying 아빠, which is dad, right? 나는 아빠랑 공원에 갈 거야. And then 선생님은 학생들이랑 선생님은 학생들이랑 박물관에 갔어요. Okay? See how everything concerning the people in the sentence is at the front. 선생님은 학생들. Now, 들 is another particle that is used to make things plural. You do not have to add it, but you can. So, 친구, friend, 친구들, friend, right? 사람, person, 사람들, people. But you don't have to do that because 사람 can also mean people on its own. 친구 could also indicate more than one friend because there's not really plurals in Korean, but there you can use 들. You don't have to, but you can. And then now I want you to notice the pronunciation of this word. 박물관, 박물관, not 박물관. It sounds like this. 박물관. That's pronunciation will be with the 기역, the G/K, and the mium, the M. It's a pronunciation rule that when those two are next to each other, the 기역 will turn into a 은지 sound. 박물관. Why? Don't know, but that's the rule. And here's some extra notes because when we're using with or when we're saying with in Korean, oftentimes you're going to hear one of these, 같이 or 함께, and those guys both mean together. I did something together with my friend. But now in English, it would be weird for us to say, I watched a movie together with my friend. It doesn't sound natural, right? But in Korean, that's perfect. Honestly, very perfect. Here's an example. Same sentence, different usage or different word for together. 우리는 집에 같이 or 함께 들어갔어요. 들어가다 means to enter or go into. We went into the house together, right? This is what I was saying earlier. And together with, we don't usually use that in English. In Korean, it's perfectly okay to do that and even encouraged. In fact, I would say try to do that all the time if possible. Okay, here's an example that I'm noticing now it's a little bit wrong order, right? Because I said we should try to put all the people at the front. In general, Korean sentences can be known as to be flexible. So that little thing is not the end of it, right? But for the purpose of me teaching you, I'm gonna try to enforce that order. So this is gonna go here. Omarang 녹차, green tea. So cha by itself, if you remember, is tea, and 녹차 specifically is green tea. And then 같이, together, 마셨어요. I drank green tea with my mom. Notice in the translation, it doesn't say together, but that happens often in a sentence. Even if it doesn't specify in the translation together, it's added usually in the Korean sentence, right? 선생님과 선생님이랑 선생님하고 함께 공부했어요. I studied with my teacher. 저는 여자친구, 여자, woman, 친구, friend, or girl, friend. 여자친구와 함께 영화를 봤어요. I watched a movie with my girlfriend. Doesn't specify in any sentence that it has together. That's because in English, it's not natural to have it, but in Korean, it is. Now, what's the difference between these two? 함께 is used more in writing and formal situations. 함께 in general, it's a little bit more like poetic. Like you might hear it more in songs than you do 같이. So therefore, it's usually used with 과 and wa quite a bit, but it really doesn't matter. To me, it doesn't matter too much. 같이 is more common than 함께, so you might have heard 같이 instead. But, wrapping it up, all of these can be used interchangeably. So you can swap one way to say and out for another. In real life, I would stick with, honestly, you can stick with 하고 for everything, and you could also stick with 이랑 for everything. Even if you want to be formal, but you don't remember, like, which one is the formal one, anything works, Don't try to be perfect when it comes to this. I don't think a Korean person will be offended if you use the wrong, quote-unquote, wrong and, even if you still end the sentence formally, I think they'll be fine with it and wouldn't care at all. And they probably do the same thing themselves. Like all these rules I'm telling you, Koreans break them time to time. Like in Korean conversations, they often drop particles like 은는, 이가, and ul. In conversations, they might say, change the whole order around, and that is because language is fluid. Language is very fluid. Okay, now at the end, I have a lot of different sentences, kind of with some of the same sentences, right? But with different ands and withs. If you want to look at that, you can check out the doc.